Growth hack your brand and then destroy anything that moves.
You need to grind hustle your platform manifest.
It's all about entropy, elegance, and finance. Blockchain.
Invest in real estate every day.
Invest in meal estate every morning.
You need to mind hack the mind shackles that are grabbing your mind. Entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneur. Teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a day. Eat the man who just fished and you'll eat for a lifetime.
Spartans!
Business
money hacks.
Hello there, welcome to Business Money Hacks. My name is Dustin Taylor Hahn.
And I'm Bridge Stewart.
Today we want to talk about wealth management, and what do you do with your money? So let's say you've become successful, you've listened to all of our tips, and now you've got a hoardish wealth of cash, and you don't know what to do with it. You don't know how to hide it. Certainly you're not going to give it to the government.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to want to do that. I mean, it's a question I get from a lot of people all the time. It's like, all this money, I mean, what am I going to do? Become Scrooge McDuck here and just throw it into a giant vault and swim around in it? You better believe the IRS is going to be banging on your door.
I call them burglars. I've had the IRS or Interpol come to me several times in my life, and they may as well be burglars. It's grand theft.
You know what I call them? I call them mass murderers. I feel like they're committing a genocide against the money I've earned, my labor. The labor that I've worked so hard on. They're coming in and going to be like, all right, let's round up all the money that you've earned and put it in a chamber that we can use.
That is now it's ours.
Now it's our money.
Yeah, it's a genocide. I mean, why should the government take the 5% that they want from us?
5%? I think it's even 10%.
It's awful what they're doing to the upper class at this point.
It's awful.
It's one of the reasons why I left.
They're manhandling us. They're breaking into our homes. I've heard they strangle people now.
Proverbial strangling us with their tax forms.
Proverbial and literal. I've heard these IRS agents get real hands-on these days.
I've heard that, they go to the gym and they have big Popeye forearms.
They're really into the steroid scene.
The IRS.
The IRS. They're really into all sorts of, these synthetic drugs that'll pump them up. Mm-hmm. It's basically, they're all methed up all the time, ready to break down any house they see fit. They don't even do the research. They just say, that's a nice house. And then they burst in and say, give it to me. Give it to me now.
These audits, they call them audits.
Yeah, so this episode we're just going to be discussing how you can prevent this and how you can let your money grow for you like a flower. Your money is a garden. You have to let it grow. You're not going to let this IRS come in with a weed whacker and just hack your garden, would you?
Mm-mm. That's why you need to set up your own Venus flytraps, if we're going to use that.
Exactly.
For your money. How do you trap them?
How do you
trap an IRS-man?
How do I trap an IRS-man?
Yeah, have you ever experienced that? I have cameras around my area, but they don't come by anymore.
Yeah, well, New Zealand... I gotta say, this was a brilliant move. New Zealand, the rules, might as well just throw them out the window.
Yeah.
New Zealand knows what's up. The United States, here's the thing. I try to avoid letting the IRS onto my property. I build very tall walls, extremely tall. And when they start, trying to knock on my front gate, saying, let me in. I want your money. I want to get my greasy hands all over your hard-earned cash. I say, I'm not here.
You say it around out the loudspeaker. You say, I'm not here.
I'm not here.
This is a recorded message.
Yeah.
I have one.
Yeah.
I have one.
You have one?
Yeah.
An IRS agent?
I do. Well, he's from Interpol, but I assume that they're in the same sort of department.
I don't think that's the same department at all.
Well, I have one regardless. He's chained up in subfloor B. I do feed him because I figured I might get some information out of him. He hasn't spoken yet.
That seems like a big crime.
He's in a padded cell.
Interpol's pretty serious from what I understand.
Are they, though?
Yes. But, at least you're getting good information from this man in this cell, right?
Yeah, I cut out his tongue.
Oh.
That was a mistake on my part.
So you're saying you have a tongueless Interpol agent locked in a padded room on your compound?
I was trying to intimidate him.
Well, this, I feel like business money hacks, folks. This is This is what we're doing. This is how you hack business right here. Is
Yeah.
you make sure those agents get locked up in a padded cell and the tongue removed. Although I'm not sure what the tongue removal would achieve.
That was sort of my flair. Anyway, let's go back to what you would do with your money, Bridge. How do you hide your money so that these men and women, these strong-armed men and women...
These things, these creatures.
who you need to chain up. How do you hide your money from them?
2 words, offshore accounts. You can't have your money floating around in the U.S. government economy. Because here's the thing, they've got all these like nerd mathematicians who are like, no, I gotta find the money. And then they find your money in these systems. They can't find it if it's offshore. Offshore accounts, and when I say offshore, I mean deep offshore. I'm
like
talking
oil rig offshore.
Oil rig offshore. U.S. government has no rule over the ocean. And it's sea law. I actually have about 3 oil rigs in the Pacific Ocean, deep Pacific Ocean, with accountants in them. They
just churning numbers.
just
It's like a sweatshop of accountants, just churning all your numbers in a deep offshore island.
It gets hot in the Pacific. That
the
Pacific
South Pacific,
heat,
for sure.
The Pacific heat really gets to them, but it really. They really crunch those numbers out there.
That's one thing you have to learn about, just in business in general. Got to crunch the numbers.
Got to crunch the numbers, got to turn up the heat. When I say that, I mean both of those things literally. You got to crunch it and heat it. So these accountants, I got them in tank tops and blazers out in the Pacific.
Did you know that Hawaii is not technically part of America?
Really?
That's a misnomer to call it a state of the union. Because it's in the Pacific Ocean and it's far enough away from the shores of California, Hawaii is actually you could do anything out there as much as you can do it in Samoa.
So you're saying you can just go buck wild?
You can go
in
buck
Hawaii.
wild.
Interesting. I wonder if that has a correlation with the all the coconuts that are there. I wonder if I mean coconuts. I mean they just go for lack of a better word, they go bananas over those coconuts in Hawaii. I think it's the lawless atmosphere.
Yeah, well, that's why they need Dog the Bounty Hunter.
They need Dog the Bounty Hunter because they've got all these guys.
There's no police.
Yeah, they're hyped up on these coconuts. No laws. You're going to need a guy named Dog going in.
And wrangling up and making sure that it doesn't light on fire. The whole damn island.
And this is how society should run. This is how the U.S. government should be run, is just give everybody all these coconuts and let them get riled up.
They call it crimes because they want to make the general public feel terrible, but it's an opportunity. Any crime is an opportunity.
Exactly. Hawaii has got it locked down.
If something doesn't work out in Hawaii, they could just pop open those volcanoes and burn it all down.
It's like a beautiful reset switch. It's like, things are getting a little too out of hand in Hawaii. Time to pull the plug out of the lava tube and just let it run rickshaw over this whole island.
That's something I have going on. If anything goes awry, I have the compound strapped in C4, and all of my money is here. I keep all of my money in one place. Unlike a lot of people, they like to spread it out. It's all here. It's all in the Scrooge McDuck thing that you mentioned. That's what I do.
That's what you have. It's all in a vault.
All the solid liquid and gas of my liquid capital I've converted to sort of a gaseous state.
Your network is all gaseous.
Yeah.
It's not liquid.
People talk about having
liquid or solid,
liquid funds. Yeah. I've converted it to a gaseous state, and now it's in sort of a giant cube that has exhaust and all of the money that's been.
So if you were to go in there, would it smell
the
good?
money into my cube.
So can you enter the cube?
I could enter the cube, and I smell my money. I breathe it in, and I become currency. I become wealth.
I think that's a great idea, to convert all of your money into a gaseous state, and rig it with C4 in case you die, so that nobody else can have it.
In my heart, I have a pacemaker, so when my heart stops, in case there's a attempted murder, basically the switch turns on and the entire compound explodes.
You get a dead man switch on your heart.
I suggest you do the same.
Here's the thing, though. I don't know if I'd want my money to disappear. I have a will set up for my money. As you know, I'm extremely religious, and I have all of my money will be going to a very intelligent, very wise man. Jacob Adams is his name, the Reverend Jacob Adams. He runs, let's call it a church out in deep Texas.
How deep Texas are we talking? Are we talking East Texas? Southeast Texas?
Middle Texas, deep.
Yeah,
You couldn't
deep.
get more middle. And let's just say he has some ideas about what's going to happen to the sinners of this world that I believe in a very deep way. So yeah, all of my money is going to him and his, a lot of religious people that, they have their flock. He has more of a herd. He calls it a herd. The Reverend Jacob Adams and his herd that
will be receiving the bulk of your wealth.
They will be receiving all of it, every single last dollar, because I believe so much in what Jacob Adams is spewing. And I hope that he is able to achieve his goals through, possibly my investment in his belief.
And some sort of culling, I assume.
He's big on culling. A herd gets too big, they start starving because they can't find enough food. They're running ragged. They look like a mess, and everyone is like, "Oh my God, look at this disgusting herd."
So he has his own dead man switch, if you were, on his own Hawaii volcano switch.
Yeah, it's more like a dead man's pistol. That's how he sort of solves that problem.
Well, I'd love to have Reverend Jacob Adams on the podcast. I think he could provide us with
He's a
sort of your
man.
philosophy.
He is a very belligerent man, and I think you could learn a lot from that man.
One thing that my father used to do, and what he did with his money, he had a will, but in his will, he had his lawyer dismember his body and then hollow out his bones, and in his bones was all the money and bonds and stocks, and then his body was spread around the planet.
Wow.
Me and my brothers and sisters, it was sort of a rat race. If you've ever seen that movie Rat Race.
To find all the limbs of your deceased father.
My deceased father. And that was how I became a single child.
He had
to set up traps as well.
He'd set up booby traps.
Roll the Indiana Jones thing where you'd have to grab one of his arms and there would be a rolling ball. And
like he would just have like an arm.
It would be a hollowed out arm with stocks and bonds and paperwork that whoever would find the arm would be able to sign the papers within it. And I ran from natives and that whole thing.
It's interesting.
My sister was eaten by a bear.
She was eaten by a bear.
She was eaten by a bear. It was a bear that hadn't eaten in a while, so I remember that my father's head, that was the prized possession. That had most of the money in it. And he had surrounded this cave with hungry mother bears.
Very hungry bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, those bears go pretty nuts.
So she got mauled, and I was the last of the
siblings to
of the
survive.
Huns, yeah.
So you're a single sibling
I
at
am.
This point. You're a
This was
lone
years ago.
child.
This was in my 20s. This was a long time ago. I miss them. I miss them dearly.
That's brilliant. I mean, going back to this concept of culling the herd, with your family, you got to make sure the strongest survive. And what better way to do that than to load up your corpse with cash and spread it all over the world for your children to find, then die over. That's a great way to really, strengthen your line.
Some of it's still out there, though. Some of it's still out there. I have the map. I still have the map. He gave us each a piece of the map.
Wow.
And we had to fight over it.
You could increase your gaseous account in your house by getting more money from your dead father's carcass. And you just haven't gotten around to getting the other limbs?
Well, that's something that we should work on. Wow, I haven't thought about that in years. Jeez, I mean, I think I might have phased it out in my head.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty traumatic experience. But yeah, no, I think we should go for it. Because so much of the time, people die and they give their money to a charity or something. And they just sort of hand it over to the charity, like, oh, I'm going to give my money to the children's hospital or the, Doctors Without Borders. Whatever happened to working for your money? Warren Buffett, he's like, oh, I'm going to give my money to the children's hospital.
Yeah, what
Divvy
happened to
up
good
his
old...
body.
Yeah.
Get these children and find his body parts.
Have a around the world in 80 days type scenario.
With a bunch of children, yeah.
You're saying that actual children from the hospital should be...
They're the ones who are going to be getting the money in the end, so they might as well be out there fighting a bear to get a severed limb filled with cash.
earn your cash. Earn your wealth. These taxes, they wastefully spend these things on. I mean, what do they spend it on?
They waste it on their Washington D.C. party set.
Roads and schools.
It's disgusting. We've already built the schools.
The books are written.
The highways
the
are
pencils are sharpened.
I feel like they are just wasting it, or just throwing it down the toilet. Like literally. Like I totally could see, the governor of California receiving a gigantic wagon filled with cash and just rubbing his palms together and licking his lips and turning to his advisor with a twinkle in his eye and saying, "Burn it." And the advisor, he's not fully into the system yet. So he's like, "Well, sir, but we could invest in technology." And this politician is just like, nah, burn it. That's what I expect every governor of every state does.
That's probably a smart way for a governor to hoard his wealth. By burning cash, it turns into a gaseous form, and he could burn it and then breathe again the gas.
And get its power.
The fumes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Highlander with cash. When you destroy it and you breathe it in, you gain its power. So these governors, I would hate to fight a governor. They are probably very strong based off of all this cash they've inhaled.
Losing their sense of smell, most likely, as I have.
They're awful people.
Well, let me ask you this as a side note. Would you ever consider going into politics? And you can become much stronger and more powerful.
Yeah, I've dabbled in this idea. I've really considered maybe I should be getting into politics. I'm a charismatic guy. I have shark teeth, and I smile very large and glare very hard at people. People want that in a leader. Yeah, so I've thought about it. As long as
they have a strong stride as well.
Yeah, a strong gait as I charge forward at people. That's what people want to see in a politician. Ultimately, I don't think you can change the world in government. I mean, all they do is burn cash all day. They're not making the big changes like us business people do. And like you viewers, I highly commend you for getting into business, because that's what's changing the world here.
Right.
Not
government, not organization. We need less organization and more chaos.
More chaos, definitely more coconuts, definitely more offshore accounts. This is how it should be. I mean, have you considered getting into politics before?
I have. I have, actually. And in a certain sense, I am a government worker. I work for my own government. I'm the czar of my own state.
You're a czar.
I am a czar. I've reached czar status. Wow. I had to fill out some paperwork, which I've written, and I plaster it around the halls of my area.
Yeah, I saw that. You definitely, you made a lot of copies of those.
I do hold elections. I plan on holding the first election.
Wow. Who's running?
Well, could be me or my twin brother.
I know that trick.
Yeah.
I know that trick.
That's the fun part. That's the fun part about being your own czar.
You run against yourself,
right.
That's the best kind of an election.
Yeah, I'll explain it to the audience if they didn't figure that out. I'm both.
Yeah. Have you actually thought about getting like an iron fist?
An iron fist, I feel like that would be useful but heavy.
It would be heavy.
Especially since if I had an iron fist, I would make it of steel.
Yeah.
It's the strongest.
I think that's... You wouldn't want to go with anything less than
Who needs to grasp things with your hand than
if
you could just constantly have your hand in a fist form?
Yeah. I mean, there's not enough politicians with literal iron fists walking around, in my opinion.
There's a politician who has an eye patch.
An eye
patch.
Oh, eye patch.
Just something fun.
That's fun. That's kind of cool.
He's getting there.
He's taking steps in the right direction, I suppose.
What sort of body part would you want to have, prosthetic-wise, if you were a governor?
2 strong legs. 2 just made of steel, obviously, so I could,
Better to stride with.
And when you have that, you wouldn't need to wear pants. So I'd just wear a T-shirt all day and just 2 strong iron legs.
Servo legs.
Yeah, two steel legs just coming at you as I come at you with my shark teeth. That would be
to shake hands and kiss babies.
Yeah, that would be an intimidation factor right there. A man with no pants, steel legs, If I had that, I'd kick down every door that came in front of me.
You could certainly at least contend with an IRS agent.
Oh, they wouldn't even mess with me. Not with my my steel legs.
You'd be able to kick through their chest cavity or some.
And I would. That would be the first order of business if I became governor. I'd waltz right into the IRS tax board, and let's just say it would be a massacre. It would be a cleansing.
And that would bring the American public on board with you. They hate doing their taxes.
It would be such a beautiful sight. All these people would be surrounding the IRS tax board. I barge in with the Reverend Jacob Adams at my side, my steel legs, and I just am crushing IRS agent after IRS agent. The people would cheer. They would give me so much applause.
So you'd be sort of the politician, but you'd have your own Grand Vizier, your Reverend.
Absolutely. His religious views would be at my side at all times.
Well, let me ask you, does the Reverend have a staff?
No,
I don't mean a staff of people. I mean an actual staff that's shaped like perhaps a cobra or some sort of snake-like...
come to think of it, he does have a staff, and it looks a lot like a cobra.
Every shepherd needs a staff, and your Reverend's staff is a cobra staff.
Yeah, he's... man, he's such a great guy. He is angry, and that is why I'm so proud of him.
For a spiritual advisor, I imagine wrath is something that you look for.
Wrath?
You want someone who has enough wrath to be able to call his own flock or his own herd.
He's big on wrath. He's big on judgment. And yes, people will be judged by the thousands if I were to become a politician. And he would yeah, so things would definitely be cleaned up after he's done.
Yeah. The whole cities could be cleaned up in a day.
Cleansed. Deeply cleansed in the house of God.
Well, that's a very scary scenario, but a very fair scenario.
Very fair. Strict, but fair.
It's
brutal,
sort of
but fair.
Controlled chaos is what we're looking for.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, again, like I said, it's not about these laws. You know, laws are BS. It's not about
we're libertarians. You know,
it's not about laws. It's about judgment, and that is how we should be administering ourselves.
It should be quick judgment. So you don't know what the laws are, but when you did something wrong, you know it immediately.
Yes.
There's one man and his vizier always watching.
Exactly. That's how it should be. So anyway, this is just to give you guys tips on how to manage your money, how to do some wealth management. What's the best way to deal with money if you've earned a fair amount of it?
Like and subscribe, and tell your friends about this podcast. This podcast's not going to be here forever. Because the culling will begin.
Yeah, no, and it's crazy because the people that on the podcast stations, the people that are on the internet, they've been calling us up and being like, "Whoa, your podcast." You're getting too real with this information. You guys should probably tone it down. You're giving away too much. And we're like, no way. We're going to give our listeners everything we've got and everything we know.
Yeah, we're giving out the secrets. This is the charity.
Yeah.
Next week we have one of the most famous computer hackers on the planet. We're going to be speaking with him. I'm very excited to see what the new technology looks like.
You guys are in for a treat. He's got some real deep info on stuff. So definitely stay tuned for that.
We also have a contest that we're just starting up. Free facial reconstruction surgery. If you get 4 friends to subscribe to the podcast.
We will have you come in and we will get you facial reconstructive surgery to look like us.
You and a friend one of you will get the Dustin treatment, the other will get the Bridge treatment, and then we could have our own clones walking around. And you can look like us and you could look successful, because the first thing about being successful is to look the part.
Exactly.
And what better way to do that than to change your entire life and your entire appearance?
All you need to do is send us your address, your phone number, your next of kin, your family members,
your social security card, a
passport,
piece of DNA, your hair, fingerprints, and a very detailed HD photograph of your retinas.
And a gallon of spit.
Gallon of spit would be useful.
All of that, and then we will send for you to get the reconstructive surgery. You don't even need to come in. We're going to send somebody to your house to get you.
Again, get 4 friends to subscribe to the podcast and leave a comment on YouTube or Twitter at BMH Podcast.
Absolutely. We want to see as many comments on YouTube as possible.
Riddle us with comments.
Say whatever you want. It's really fantastic. The great thing about YouTube is you can sort of say whatever you want, and no one's going to know who you are.
Thanks so much, and also send us a piece of your hair.